All right, hi everyone. Welcome again. Welcome to Campfire. So I think to kick off this year's Campfire, I thought it'd be fun to do a bit of a throwback to Affinity's origins. We talk a lot about investing in software and data today, but to maybe reflect a bit on how our industry's own relationship with software has changed over the last decade. So some of you know this, some of you don't, but Affinity basically got started with a very simple idea. It was one that my co-founder and I almost stumbled across accidentally as we were kind of studying engineering at Stanford, where we met. And it basically, that was in venture capital, especially 10 years ago, if you ask anyone what the biggest problem with relationship management and relationship management software was, without a doubt, the thing that you would hear was that it was this universal problem of data entry. That's maybe not unexpected. You know, we're the most networked industry in the world, and also probably the industry where everyone has the least amount of time to enter data about all the relationships that they're building. And so we got started with this very simple kind of question, with this insight that inspired us, which is every investor already owned this gold mine of data that was trapped in their emails, their calendar streams, their messages, public data about people and companies and transactions. What if we could harness that data to build a new kind of platform, a CRM where the data entered itself and that actually harnessed that data to generate meaningful and powerful insights? For everyone here, I think it's obvious to think about, how obvious that idea is, but it really wasn't the case 10 years ago. In fact, it was the very opposite. I remember the first years of Affinity, we got so many no's kind of trying to pitch that idea to everyone. We went door to door, up and down Sand Hill Road, South Park, Jackson Square in San Francisco, talking to every investor we could to tell them we could solve the fundamental problem that was CRM if only we could tap into this enormous data stream that everyone seemed to have access to but didn't realize that they actually owned. And a lot of people thought we were crazy. So some of the refrains that we got back then, some folks told us, wait, you're asking for what information? Or you realize that literally that data that you want access to is capturing on the order of billions of dollars of transaction value every single day. And so why do we entrust that to a new company, let alone a startup? And they weren't wrong. Back then it was a very reasonable reaction, just given the culture of venture at the time. But we just couldn't get out of our heads that, if only that seemingly cultural hurdle could be overcome, that the tools for VC and private capital could be so much more efficient. And that's what happened. So reflecting a decade later, we've come a very long way. I'd say the ideas that seemed really questionable or kind of laughed at the time have now become the new gold standard, meaning by today's standards, if you're not considering or thinking about activity capture or relationship intelligence, today that would be the considered crazy idea. And so while it was counterintuitive at the time, it started with this small cohort of visionaries, of early adopters, actually a number of them are in this room today, who saw the potential. They're kind of past that point of frustration and breaking, enough to take a bet on us. And it was really those firms that set into motion this industry, this culture shift that kind of grew and grew until it became the norm today. And so this is a bit about where we come. Affinity today, our platform is serving over 3,000 firms in over 80 countries, managing deals, pipelines, relationships, and portfolios. Our platform's processed over, at this point, trillions of emails, calendar events, and other data points. And it's kind of crazy. There's more global deal flow and investor relationships that flow pound for pound, second by second, through Affinity than any other software platform in the world. So I wanted to pause on that, I think, just really to kick off Campfire, reiterating something that Paul said with a thank you to all of you. I think especially those of you who really took a bet on us since the very beginning. Thank you for putting your trust into us all these years. It's been a great privilege. And it's a little sentimental for me, I think, taking a look back at where Affinity came from before we turn to the future. And that's because I actually have a new face to welcome to the stage today and to hand over the Affinity baton to, so to speak. And while I've talked a bit about the past, trust me, he'll be talking plenty about the future. And that's our new CEO, Ken. So I'm going to do a quick introduction. So Ken joins Affinity with over 2 decades of experience leading iconic companies like Medallia, Financial Engines, most recently Heap Analytics, to major scale, 200 million plus ARR, 2 IPOs. And he has done so probably wearing more hats than anyone I've ever met. Everything from founding team member from the 0 to 1 stage to chief product officer, chief marketing officer, chief customer officer, president, and CEO. And when I met him first, it was a referral from Affinity's network as one of the strongest growth stage CEOs in the world who we could learn from. And our time, frankly, blew us away into realizing what his leadership could bring to the table here at Affinity. So I'm excited to welcome him. Coming up, Ken.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you for the kind introduction, and more importantly, thank you for your innovation. Thank you for your leadership. Without you and your co-founder, none of us would be here today. So thank you very much. So you said this has been a personal and a sentimental day and tour for you. So in that spirit, we captured some evidence of your journey. We tried to find pictures that go all the way back to your beginnings at Stanford there in the middle. So I'm not sure if that was the moment of conception for our company, but certainly that was your time there. And more seriously, I want to thank you for creating a great company with a great foundation, and personally for entrusting me, as you said, to take the baton from here and help us in our next stage, the next journey, portion of our journey of growth. So thank you, Ray. Okay, so why did I join Affinity? One of the reasons is because I personally believe in the direction and the impact of data-driven investing. It's real, it's powerful. If you look at the data on the right-hand side of the screen, that's all data that we pulled from our platform that is evidence of the fact that all of you are using data analysis and technology much more prolifically and intensely, whether it's to source deals, manage deals, work with LPs, work with portfolio companies. It's a core part of how you do what you do. And I saw an opportunity to be a part of building an operating platform, a data-driven operating platform for investing. That is the subject of today's keynote. So this is going to be a very product-oriented, feature-oriented, demo-oriented keynote. We're going to show you a lot of what we are doing currently and what's coming next. Now, how did I get started? When Ray got started, there was nothing. He was a founder. When I joined, there was all of this. I've been here for about 5 months now. And he talked about my background in multiple functions, one of which was product. And in product, you learn, understand the customer, understand their current state, understand their pain points, understand their current solutions, and that's your beginning point. So that's what I did. Spent a lot of time with the product management team, design team, engineering team, sales, customer success, marketing, understanding our current product, what problems are we solving, what are the strengths and weaknesses of that product. Then for number 2, did an internal listening tour where we met with every single person at Affinity in small groups to understand what they thought was working, wasn't working, what ideas they had. And then finally began and did all of this within several weeks, an external listening tour, meeting with many of you. So this is a sample of the customers that I met with. Many of you are here, as well as others. And these were intensive meetings. So a lot of prep for each meeting, a full session going through current state, potential future state, debriefs with the team, synthesis of all that work. So what I'm going to do today to kick off this discussion is share with you that synthesis, share what we heard, and that's going to set up what we show. And I'm going to break it into 2 groups. The things that you said that we're doing well, the reasons that you embarked on the journey with us and are still on that journey, and the areas where you said we need to improve. Okay, so we'll start with what we're doing well, and I'm going to begin with the punchline, and then I'm going to go to the supporting information. So the first punchline was Affinity is, many of you said, mission critical. Now in product and in business, you often talk about, is my product a must-have? Is it a nice-to-have? Everyone wants to be a must-have. And what I learned from many firms, Affinity, certainly a CRM in general, and Affinity's version of it is a must-have. Great quote here, it's unbelievable that anyone could operate without a system like Affinity. So, okay, why is that? Reason number 1, or theme number 1, is the data. As Ray said, that was the founding insight of the platform, and that's both the activity capture, so capturing data from the things that you're doing with email and calendars, as well as the data enrichment. So that minimizes the time you're spending entering data, and you can spend time doing the things you do best. So that was theme 1. Theme 2 was relationship management, which in my mind, simply put, is, okay, how do we leverage our network, who knows whom and how well, so that we can navigate the process of getting deals done, managing those deals, and then working with our portfolio companies. So that's theme 1, theme 2. Then theme 3 is, as a result of theme 1 and theme 2, we use your platform as a place for collaboration and communication as we navigate deals and then work with those through the consummation of the deal and then working with the portfolio company. And then I'm now going to transition to the feedback that we received and where we need to improve. And you weren't shy with the areas for improvement, so I'm going to be highly transparent and share those as well. Okay, and as always, I'll start with the punchline. The punchline is, be careful what you ask for. So everyone wants to be a must-have. Everyone wants to be a platform that you need to run your business. Well, if you achieve that, then your platform needs to be rock solid. It needs to work well. So a lot of the feedback we got was, look, just keep investing in the fundamentals of your platform. Now, what does that mean? What are those fundamentals? The first are the basic core workflows. Great quote. Core workflows need to be rock solid. Whether that relates to the usability, the speed, just the general interaction of lists and notes and uploading data has to be solid. Theme number 2 is the data needs to be trustworthy. So I need to know that when I'm looking at the data or anyone in my firm is looking at the data, that I can trust that data. So a good quote here, this person doesn't work there anymore. So that's something that we need to, it's very challenging to manage that data well, and that's something we need to spend a lot of time continuing to invest in and continuing to improve. So that's theme 1. Theme 2. Theme 3 is, once you have data, that's one of the most valuable things, if not the most valuable thing in the platform, we want access to it. We want better APIs. We want to get access to that data set. We want to push two-way APIs. We can push data in, pull data out, and it needs to be a more capable API than the one that you have today. Those are themes 1, theme 2, and theme 3. And the theme 4 was go faster. So do all of that and do it faster. In this particular meeting, we were showing off, or we thought we were showing off our new mobile app, and they said, well, that's nice, but it took an awfully long time. So you guys need to increase your velocity and make these improvements at a faster rate. So to summarize, it was basically nailed the fundamentals. I thought this was a great quote, so it's a direct quote. I need the things that are boring to work well. I don't need the things that are really shiny. So we are going to share a few things today that are shiny, but we're also going to go through some of the not so sexy improvements that we're making because they're very valuable and they're clearly important to all of you. So to summarize, 3 main themes here: deliver great workflows, ensure the data is trustworthy, and make that trustworthy data accessible. And that leads to the theme that we are using internally at Affinity. And this also was a quote from one of those meetings. This is what the entire company is rallying around for the rest of 2024, 2025, and frankly, as long as it takes. That we're going to make sure that we nail the basics and make those investments in the core foundation of the platform. And to share what those basics are and how we're bringing them to life, I'd like to welcome Andy, our Chief Product Officer.
Thank you, Ken. So with this Nail the Basics initiative, it created an opportunity for us to step back and kind of revisit our priorities, rethink our roadmap. So today I want to share where we landed with that and what it looks like. The first theme was really kind of looking at some of the improvements around supporting those key workflows, making it easier to do the things you do every day. And so some of that stuff is live and some of it will be coming soon. In terms of the first major area of focus, it was around usability and performance improvements related to diligence. How do you look at a profile and understand what you need to know in order to take that next step? So in support of that, we've improved notes creation, making it easier to take notes, making it easier to find previous notes, making it faster to load notes. And then we've added a sidebar so that while you're taking a note, you can easily get context for the other things that you need to know to do that well. And we added shortcut keys so that whenever you're doing all these things, you can do it more efficiently. You don't have to mouse around and take a bunch of time to do it. So Ken quoted a customer saying that we need to really nail the fundamentals. And this is sort of a step in that direction of just making sure the things that we do well. Collaboration is another important thing that needs to happen in a well-run VC firm or private capital firm, both collaborating with your partners, but also collaborating with people externally. And so we've recently launched commenting, which allows for people within a firm to be able to collaborate together, but also, if you're using collaborator seats, to collaborate with people outside of the firm as you're evaluating your deals. Another big area is around sort of managing workflows, and some of that is typically manual, and nobody likes to do manual work, especially really busy private capital firms, people, investors. And so in order to reduce some of that manual work and improve the accuracy of the deal flow, we've launched automations. Automations enable you to set conditional logic based on field value changes, and that helps ensure that everything is current and accurate across the firm. I will say, I intended to demo a bunch of these features that we recently launched, but I had another mountain bike accident, which I tend to do, and so I have to call some help here. So Katrika, who is our head of product design, is going to step up and show you some of these recent changes.
Thank you. As Andy said, we have been working to nail the basics to reduce friction in the workflows that you use day to day and make things faster and easier for you. So I'm going to demo that today. I'm stepping into my role as an investor at Affinity Ventures. I just had a breakfast meeting with a fellow investor, and they gave me a really great referral. So I'm back at my desk, and I'm going to put that referral into our pipeline. Right from the homepage, it's easy to get back to my pipeline or any of my recent views. And once I'm in the pipeline, I can easily add the new deal. Now, this was a referral from an investor, which we consider a very high-quality lead, and so we treat it as high priority. Our wonderful ops team has set up some custom automations for us that allow us to work more efficiently. So in this case, as soon as I change the deal source to an investor referral, you'll see it's now marked as high priority, and it added our partner, Andy, as an owner. We also have an automation that tags my deal team as I'm the owner of this deal. And it's high priority, so we want to make sure everyone is informed. So using the Slack, an automation into our Slack integration, you'll see here everyone at the firm got a Slack notification that I added a high priority deal to the pipeline. At this point, I am an Affinity super user. I don't know about all of you. I use Command K a lot to bring up search. But now I'm using a lot of the other shortcuts that Affinity added, including the shortcut for add notes and the shortcut to toggle deal assist, which I will show you later on. Speaking of notes, our firm uses notes a lot. It's a great way to collaborate and to document things as we go. I really like having notes on this side panel because it allows me to reference any information in the data, even reference notes that I've taken previously. But sometimes I want a more focused workspace so I can maximize notes to focus on what I'm writing. But focus does not last very long. I'm always getting distracted. So what's nice is I can actually minimize this note to the side here, take care of whatever the distraction is, and come right back to this note when I'm ready for it again. As much as we use notes, it's nice to have more lightweight way of adding something that I don't need permanently in the notes. So we've been using commenting to do this. So if I add a comment, add me to the first meeting. One more way that we collaborate is using reminders. Reminders has been redesigned, so it's easier to add and manage your reminders. I can add a reminder. My associate Jenny and I wanted to make sure we got the new deck from this deal. So let's say in a week, I'm going to add Jenny to this reminder. Review the new deck. So I have to run, but even though I'm stepping away from my desk, I can continue all my work in Affinity on our new iOS app. Back to you, Andy.
Thank you. And yes, it did take us too long, but as Katrika mentioned, we've launched our new iOS app over the summer. And this is a big and much needed improvement over the previous app. And we're continuing to add additional functionality to it all the time. But today, you can use it to quickly access meeting data before you go into a meeting, or manage your pipeline on the go, or if you're in an event, be able to manage the networking at that event. If you have not downloaded the app, you can scan this QR code and get it now. Another big thing is lists. Affinity is, at its core, very, very list-centric, and lists power a lot of our core workflows. And as Ken mentioned in the customer quote previously, they have to be fast, both in terms of how they load and how you can update information within them. So over the last 3 months, we've been focusing a lot on improving list performance and list load times, making so that add to list and copy to list is faster. In the next few quarters, we're going to be making a big investment in lists, making so that things like enabling advanced filters or more complex workflows can be done in lists, and making sure that the performance continues to get faster and faster, even as the functionality gets richer. So lists is a big area of focus under Nail the Basics. The next big theme within Nail the Basics is really around data quality. Data quality is a very difficult problem. We've talked about it in past campfires. The big area of focus first for us is really identifying and reducing the number of duplicate people that are created by the automation, by the platform, so that Affinity can accurately reflect the people you're interacting with all the time. But in parallel, we're also improving a lot of the data quality. So one of the important metrics that you look at is the number of employees at the firms you're looking at. So that's something we are improving in the near term. And over the coming year, we'll continue to improve additional enrichment data points, such as those related to funding events or investors. And finally, the third theme in Nail the Basics is really enabling you to more effectively integrate Affinity into your tech stack. Again, there was a quote from Ken that referenced the importance of this. In the coming year, we're really rethinking and rebuilding our external APIs and improving the integrations that enable the data and Affinity to be pushed and pulled from your tech stack. It also enables the workflows that you do with other services to be automated. So there isn't manual work done in different platforms, but instead what you do in Affinity can drive the workflows in other platforms and vice versa. So with that context, I will hand this back to Ken as he talks about us migrating towards an operating platform.
Thank you, Andy. So as I said, the primary topic today is the building of a platform for investing. And now I'm going to define what that platform is from the perspective of Affinity. So at the base, not surprisingly, is the data that we capture through activity capture or through data enrichment. And then there's a layer that sits on top of that that helps to organize and govern that data set. So that's our base, that's our foundation. On top of that data set live features. And these are features, some of which you know well, some of which we're going to introduce here today. So on the left-hand side, lists and profiles, you know that well. Relationship intelligence, a core part of what we do. We're about to introduce today on stage some work in the AI and productivity area, as well as investments we're making to enable you to do a better job with sourcing. And then Andy just talked about APIs. So that's the feature layer. Then top of the feature layer is the product layer. So all these products have access to these different features, whether that's Affinity CRM, which is our core flagship product, or Affinity for Salesforce, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, or your own data warehouse. And then finally, on top of the feature are your workflows. So this is all in service of enabling you to fundraise, work with your LPs, make good investment decisions, or partner with your portfolio companies to help them grow. So that's the platform itself. Now, looking at the work we've described related to Nail the Basics, it's really focused on the data layer, so making investments in activity capture, data enrichment, and automation, as well as the core workflows, which you see on the left, and the APIs, which you see on the right. So when we say Nail the Basics, those are the portions of our platform that we are nailing through those investments. Now, the discussion thus far has been very pragmatic. We're going to transition the tone and tenor a little bit to some of the things that we're doing that are a bit shinier and new. And that includes the use of AI to help you in moving deals more quickly and more effectively through the process within your firm. And to do so, Katrika is going to come back.
I am very, very thrilled to be able to announce Deal Assist today. Deal Assist is a new way to chat with your deal data. It's a way to ask questions and get answers about a company based on the notes and files that you have associated with that company. It is available today in Affinity, and I'm going to take a few minutes to show you how it works. So I'm stepping back into my role as an investor at Affinity Ventures. And in this case, we are re-engaging with a company that we spoke to a couple months ago. So let me pull up that company's page. And I do have quite a few notes here from previously talking to them, as well as some files that their founders emailed us over time. And my task today is to both refamiliarize myself with all of these and potentially draft an investment memo. So I could do that by reading through all of these notes and files, but I'm busy, so we are going to use Deal Assist to speed this up. I can start with some basic information like, tell me about the founders. And yes, the founders' names are in the overview. It's easy to find, but there's more rich information about the founders in our notes. So here you can see the two founders with some details, as well as some useful information about the leadership team. I can also ask Deal Assist more conceptual questions. So, for example, I could ask, what are some of the risks associated with this investment? Let's try, what are some of the reasons to invest? And it's nice to have AI right here within Affinity. I'm not worried that a model is being trained on my data. It also respects Affinity's privacy settings and permissions. So this is just searching notes that I personally have access to. I also, no one else at my firm can see what I'm asking of Deal Assist, so we can have, I can ask as many questions as I want. So here you can see these are some of the reasons to invest. I'm going to come back to this answer in a second. Let me show you one more thing. I also sometimes like to ask, just how do I get to quick information, like how much were they raising? I could look this up. Again, it's probably in my notes somewhere, but this is a really easy way to get the answer. So they're raising $35 million, Series B. And what's nice about these answers is that they each have a reference back to where they came from. So this is a note. And if I click on it, I can go straight back to that note. And if it's something that was from a file, like maybe this example, what were these strong financial metrics? When I click on it, it goes right back to the page in that file, so I can easily see what it was referencing. So this is Deal Assist. It's accessible in any company page up here at the top. You can also access it from this main navigation, or using our shortcut, Command-J will open it up for you. So I'm very excited for you all to start using Deal Assist, and please let us know how we can continue to make this more useful for you. Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you, Katrika. So we started with Nail the Basics. Second was Deal Assist and AI. Third is sourcing. So clearly, many of you use Affinity today to support your sourcing process. That said, we believe there's more we can do within Affinity to enable that work to be more effective. This is some of what we heard with respect to some of the challenges in sourcing today. One is speed. You want to get in early, clearly, so you have a seat at the table, you have those conversations, so you have a shot of being a part of the deals that you want to be a part of. Items 2 and 3 relate to data. Some of it is just the cost, expense, and work of bringing all the sourcing data that you use together in one place. And then the third is taking that information and integrating it into a CRM. So those are 3 different pain points that we heard. I'd like to invite Jenny on stage, our VP of Product Management, who's going to demo some of the work that we're doing to support sourcing. Think of this as a special preview of product capabilities that are coming soon. Jenny?
All right. Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, as Ken mentioned, given the challenges that we've heard from so many customers around data-driven sourcing, we've been working really closely with a handful of customers, some of you in this room. And from those conversations, we've gathered a lot of different ideas around how we could solve this problem. And so we have been developing a data-driven sourcing solution that is integrated directly into the CRM. And that gives you access to hundreds of thousands of companies that you can find new opportunities with, both inside of your network, leveraging your relationships, but also using data and finding new companies outside of your network. You can also use it to quickly qualify those companies using different data signals and your CRM data, And you can monitor companies that you're really interested in that are not quite ready for investment yet to make sure that you don't miss up on that opportunity at a later time. And you can do that all in one place. So now I'd like to give you a short little preview of how you can accomplish this with Affinity and do your deal sourcing right in Affinity. So picking up where Katrika left off with the deal assist example, I'm going to play the role of the investor at Affinity Ventures that focuses a little bit more on the top of funnel sourcing efforts. I have 20 minutes before my next founder call, and I have a few minutes to do some market research and find some new investment opportunities. So to get started, I can do that directly in my CRM. I can navigate over to Affinity Screener tool that I just got access to here in the navigation. And to get started pretty quickly, I can use one of the templates that are a set of preset filters, like recently funded companies in our own firm's network, or location-based, likely to raise California companies. I can also start from scratch and create my own set of filters. So for today, I'm going to go ahead and do that and create a new screener. And here, as this loads up all these different companies, I can see that I can query on top of 1.5 million companies. Now, as an investor at Affinity Ventures, I focus on B2B enterprise software, and I specialize in the AI space. So let's see what we can find. Opening up the filters sidebar, I'm going to keep a pretty broad search. So I'm going to add in industries, artificial intelligence. As a growth investor, I am looking at a minimum of at least 10 million raised and an employee count of over 200. And I also don't want to see any companies that are already in our portfolio company list. So I'm going to exclude all of the companies in our portfolio list. So let's take a look and see what we got. So I reduced this down to about 60 companies in just a few seconds. And it looks like I can sort and filter on different types of data signals, like the growth score, which is a function of the growth of headcount growth over time and web traffic growth. Likely to raise is a function of time since last raised. I can also see, are they on any of our lists already, so I don't waste any time or duplicate any work that my colleagues might be looking into. And I can also prioritize my time on companies that I might already have a connection with or an intro path to. So very similar to in the Affinity CRM, I have access to all of this other data that I can sort and filter on, like funding data, locations, other investors if you like to compare to other peers and benchmark yourself against, or employee growth. So for the purposes of a quick search, I am interested in taking a look at Instabase. So with the profile slide out, I get a really quick overview of the company's history of their funding, the growth of their employees over time with some quick visuals, where they sit on the growth score and likely to raise. Might be a good time to reach out. They last raised last June. And to get some more specific details, clicking on the details tab over here, I get even more information about the background of the company. I can see what other companies are playing in this space to understand what other similar companies are in that space, and also what their funding history is. What was the history of their funding rounds and who invested in them? Now, it looks like this is a net new company. They're not part of our network. As I can see here, they're not on any lists. Nobody at the firm has ever been in contact with them before. So if there would be an intro path, Affinity provides me inferred connections. So there's overlapping work experience with Matt on our team, with Murali at Instabase. So that's a potential way to get an introduction. But one of my favorite features is getting notified if there are any new company updates that match my thesis. So with a weekly email, I get notified proactively if there are any new companies that match my investment criteria, or if there were any significant updates that I would want to know about, like a funding event, growth in employees, or web traffic growth that is significant enough that I would want to stay on top of that and reach out as quickly as possible. So going back to my screener here, fast forward a couple of minutes in the 20 minutes I have before my founder call. With these 60 companies, let's say Instabase, Observe, and Core seem most interesting to me. I'm going to go ahead and add them directly into my pipeline list. So they get added automatically right here. Just to double check, I'm going to click into my list. I see that all three of them were added right at the top of my pipeline. And that in a nutshell, in about 5 minutes that I had to demo this, you can find some net new companies utilizing data signals, and leveraging your existing relationships. So that in a nutshell is sourcing with Affinity. We have many more exciting features to come. We are looking to launch this, make it available mid-next year. And if you would like to join our waitlist, please go to affinity.co/sourcing. If you are interested in getting early access to the product, in exclusive discounts, or the opportunity to work directly with the product team and influence the direction of the product. And back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Jenny. Well done. Okay, now we're going to transition to the final topic of the keynote of the introduction. And that is supporting all of you as your firms grow. One of the themes, one of the patterns that we've seen is that as firms become larger, they'll often have groups or teams that are not focused on the investing portion of your job, of the job, and they are using other CRMs, such as Salesforce. And we receive feedback that we'd like there to be some way for that to be on a unified platform, but we understand the need to use Salesforce for those applications, specifically when you have larger organizations, teams across different geographies, verticals, stages, and in those cases, bringing in extraordinary amounts of data. Now, to accommodate that environment, we are partnering with Salesforce. And we're going to show that partnership and actually do a demonstration of that product in a moment, but we are integrating Affinity and its capabilities into Salesforce, and we are calling it Affinity for Salesforce. And next, I'm going to do a demo. The role I'm going to play right now is that of an investment associate. And what you're looking at, or what we're looking at together, is my email. So it's Microsoft Outlook. And right now, in the world without Affinity, if I'm using Microsoft Outlook and I have Salesforce as my CRM, I would go through my emails. I might get emails from peers within the organization, from LPs, from entrepreneurs, from portfolio companies, and I'd manually capture what I need to capture and put that into the CRM. Now, in this case, there's a better way to do it. So I just clicked on the Affinity icon, and that is launching a Chrome extension in the right-hand side of the screen. And when I do so, what's happening is I'm now connecting, in this situation, I'm connecting directly to Salesforce in a two-way sync, back and forth between this email and Salesforce, with everything shown and displayed in the extension on the right-hand side. So, for example, I'm going to click on an email here from Swapnil Jain, who is the CEO of Observe.ai. And I'm going to launch, again, the extension on the right, and I'm going to test the information that I can see there. So first, let's take a look at the activity data that you would expect to see within the Affinity CRM. So I'll scroll down, again, look on the right-hand side, and you'll see the emails coming in and out between myself and Swapnil. Second, I can dig into additional information. So now I'm going into the enriched data, again, looking on the right-hand side, employee count, revenue, funding information, last funding, total funding, Series C, total employee count points in the past. All that information, again, going from here back and forth to Salesforce. And then third, if you want to access the relationship management, the relationship intelligence information, again, on the right, you can see that I have a relationship with Swapnil, and there are two other people within, we'll call it Affinity Ventures, Vicky and Ashish, who we believe may have relationships because they overlapped at the same organization at the same point in time. So that's from sitting here in an Outlook, and it is a two-way connection. So for example, if I wanted to add a note, I can do so here, click Add Note, I add the note, and then that will be populated in Salesforce. Okay, now I'm going to move over to Salesforce, and I'm going to show the same information from there. Okay, so now we're in Salesforce. And on this is the account section of Salesforce. On the right-hand side is the integration with Affinity. So I'm going to test to see that the same information that you saw in the extension is showing up resident here in Salesforce. So let's take a look at the activities. Activities are loading, same activities that we just shared in the extension, the emails that are going in both directions. The enriched data, look here in the left. So this is the integration point with Salesforce for all of the enriched data. So you can scroll down and see, again, all the funding information, employee information. And then finally, if you want to take a look at the relationship information, that's here as well. It identifies my relationship with Swapnil as well as Vicky and Ashish. So we've got that both in an extension while I'm outside of Salesforce as well as when I'm within Salesforce. Now I'm going to switch hats. I'm going to take off my investment associate hat. I'm going to put on my partner or my managing director hat and want to understand at a higher level how relationships are impacting my deal progression. And to do that, I'm going to go to a dashboard, and it's a specially created dashboard, custom dashboard called Partner and Director Dashboard. And what you're seeing here is an integration of the relationship data in Affinity with the deal data that's in Salesforce, all in one dashboard with custom reports. So, for example, if you look at the upper left-hand portion of the dashboard, again, now I'm a partner or a managing director, there's certain deals that I'm focused on trying to progress and hopefully close. Those are listed in the upper left-hand corner, so Extend, Akamai, Rubrik, and maybe Rubrik is getting ready for their IPO. We're trying to get a round in before that company goes public. And I could identify with whom do we have relationships within those organizations, and who is the person within our organization that has that relationship, and how strong is that relationship. So again, bringing together the deal data that sits in Salesforce along with the relationship data that sits with Affinity and bringing them together. Or perhaps going up to an even more strategic level out of these specific deal-by-deal transactions. If you follow my cursor here to the middle, we can take a look at, as I start to survey the different types of verticals and firms that we're contemplating investments, SaaS, AI, et cetera, how many of those firms am I tracking within Salesforce? So in this case, there are 70 and 28 of them we have relationships. So how effectively are we permeating these different strategic areas of potential investment with relationships from our firm? Okay, so what I've shared here is the capabilities within Affinity of activity capture, data enrichment, and relationship intelligence, integrating with and being resident within Salesforce. So what I'd like to do to wrap up, if we can go back to the deck, is invite Brian Murphy. And Brian is the lead data scientist for Salesforce Ventures. Brian, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Thank you for making the trip from London.
Yeah, anytime.
Absolutely.
Just a quick flight. No effort involved at all.
That's right. Quick flight or a quick talk, and then shooting back. So would love to get some narrative from you, some perspective from you. If you put on your Salesforce hat,
Okay.
Why would Salesforce, the largest CRM provider and technology company in the world, create a relationship with another CRM company, Affinity?
Yeah, sure. Well, Salesforce Ventures is the investment arm of Salesforce. We are investing for financial return, not for strategic alignment. And we're large, we're complicated. We have 500 active portfolio companies, about 6 billion AUM. Like it's a mess of things going on there. And one of the things that's true about Salesforce since its beginning is that it's been pretty good at partnering with people who are experts in different sub-verticals within the larger CRM space. So, you can see this in all sorts of different deals in history of Salesforce's different markets it's entered. But I think that's especially true in VC and private investment space in general. A lot of the things that Salesforce, specifically Sales Cloud, is focused on are not going to be super relevant to the day-to-day work of a VC. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means there's opportunity for Salesforce Ventures to partner with experts like Affinity in the space to really bring a lot of that industry expertise of how the software should work for the workflows of a VC to Salesforce, which has a lot of opportunity for building partnerships and integrations through all the various things that have accumulated over the years.
Okay. And now putting on your Salesforce Ventures hat, you're one of our first customers.
Yeah.
And why did you make that decision to become a customer?
Yeah, well, we're always going to use Salesforce as Salesforce Ventures. That's not really on the table. But we recognize that there was an opportunity to take a lot of what some of my colleagues that had worked with Affinity from other VC firms before they joined us at Salesforce Ventures, some of the things that they really highlighted as special to Affinity, and bring that to the world of work that we're doing in Salesforce. And we just knew that there was not, those types of features are not going to be developed at Salesforce. They're not really aligned with their vision. And But on the other hand, like we're super excited to be able to tap into Salesforce's ability to have such a strong partner ecosystem, like with Affinity especially.
Okay, we appreciate your partnership.
Yeah.
Being a customer, what are some of the things that you've experienced thus far? Areas of value, examples?
Yeah, I mean, something that's been super valuable is the activity capture. I mean, we have a very global team. We have about 50 people working on investments worldwide in many countries, and there's not a single time of day that everyone's awake. So having the chance to really have strong data visibility in Salesforce into what everyone's doing, who people are meeting with, it really reduces the kind of crossed wires. I mean, all the time prior to our using the Affinity for Salesforce for activity capture, we would have issues where one geography was talking to a company and another one was. It just didn't work quite as well as we were hoping. I'm sure anyone who's used Salesforce in the past knows that some of those things are not necessarily built for VC. They're built for salespeople selling things. And, we really had a chance to reduce a lot of those friction points for our team, which has been super exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making the trip.
Yeah.
If anyone has questions later on about Affinity for Salesforce, please.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat with anyone. We are obviously super supportive of the integration, and we would happy to chat with anyone or do a little demo of how we're using it internally.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Of course.
Okay, to wrap up, 3 takeaways, and I'll add a 4th. So nail the basics. This is the focus of the company. Ensure the foundation is solid as we are and aspire to be a mission-critical part of your stack. The second, I'll insert, which is Deal Assist and AI, using that capability, which we just launched today. The third, special preview of sourcing. And then last, as we just talked about, Affinity integrated into Salesforce itself.